Hello, friends. How are you guys doing today? Welcome into the live stream. Thank you guys all so much for joining me today. We are going to have an excellent live stream today, just doing a best ball draft over on Drafters. I'll turn the music down now. I forgot that it was still playing, but that's on me. So, music is now off. Hopefully, everyone is having a great morning. It is 8:30 a.m. Looking for the best 3 wide receivers heading into week 1. Do you have a list of wide receivers that I can help you with? So we're going to do the $20 best ball championship draft over on Drafters. The reason why we're doing so many of these drafts is because it appears that there's going to be large overlay in this contest. Today is the 2nd, so it's Friday. There is less than 7 days, 6 days, obviously, until the start of the NFL season, and there are less than 30,000 entrants into this contest. It seems like potentially this is going to have some pretty large overlay. And I'm going to take the thing off the screen so I can join the contest, because if I join the contest with the screen on, it'll show my phone number, and we don't want that to happen. So we are in the contest waiting for 7 people to join. Hopefully there is a lot of overlay in this contest, because that will make it a lot easier for us to potentially win that $250,000. Now, unlike those other websites, this is not a playoff-based contest. There's no playoffs. It's just straight up points at the end of the year, weeks 1 through 17. Who has the most points, they win the $250,000. And it does add in some other strategy, like maybe you don't want to be as stack happy, because it's possible that you could win without even stacking at all in this kind of a contest. So it is also a lot more beginner friendly. So if you're just someone who plays fantasy football, this is a contest that is very easy for you to understand. If you click on the link in the video description, you can, if you deposit $20, you'll receive a free $20 ticket into this tournament. And if you also deposit $20 and then enter 2 contests, you will receive our best ball draft kit for 100% free. If you guys have any questions about fantasy football, about best ball, about anything, make sure that you ask down below in the chat, and I'll make sure to answer your guys' questions. The most fun part about live streaming, for me, at least personally, is talking about or talking to you guys in the chat. So please make sure, if you have any questions, that you ask. It should be a pretty fun stream today. Let's hope that we can get on in here. Our team that we drafted last time was super good, off the top of my head at least. This is it, I believe. Oh, no, it was number 4. Yeah, we had the Herbert, Austin Eckler, Charger stack with Keenan Allen. Love that. I'm also a big fan of Robert Tonyan this year. I know that Robert Tonyan was banged up, so some people are a little bit nervous, but I really think Robert Tonyan could have a crazy year just strictly from scoring a million touchdowns. The Doe says, I need to get into some drafts. Yeah, these drafts are very fun. And they're also, you don't have to be some crazy genius to potentially win $250,000, right? Especially if there's some big overlay. Right now, again, there's 6 days until the season. I'm going to guess this gets to maximum 40,000 out of 55,000 entries, which is still pretty big. And they also have a super flex contest as well. And if you guys want like a smaller entry fee, $5.55. I think it's 10,000 to first. Yeah, 10K to first. And it's super flex. So if you want to practice for your super flex fantasy football drafts that you may be doing this weekend, make sure that you do that. Is everyone drafting this weekend? Have you guys already drafted? Let me know because I have two drafts this weekend on Sunday and Monday. I have a draft tonight. I have a draft Wednesday. I have a draft Tuesday. I might have a draft Tuesday as well. So it's a pretty hectic time. I normally wait all the way up until the last second to do things if possible. In prior years, since me and all my friends were in college, we used to just do it really early, like weeks in advance. It'd be like week 2 of the preseason, and we'd do our draft. And hey, that adds a different wrinkle to things. But now that we all have graduated college, we try to do it as late as possible. And that is going to be this Sunday and Monday. The two home leagues that I have are going to be drafting at my house. Drafting Saturday. Awesome. Good luck to everyone doing their drafts this weekend. I'm super pumped. I love drafting. That's why I honestly like doing these best ball drafts because you just don't have to worry about all the shit that makes fantasy football annoying, like having to go ahead and do waivers on Tuesday. Like that always is annoying, especially if you're in like 15 different leagues. If you're in like two leagues, it's not really a big deal. You just scroll through. But when you're on a million different websites, right? Like for me, I'm going on NFL, and then like 3 seconds later after I do those, I have to go on Sleeper, then I have to go on Yahoo, and I'm on like 5 different websites. It's annoying. So that's one of the best things about this is that there is no waiver wire. You just draft your team and you kind of forget about it, and they just automatically set your lineup with the highest scores every single week. Let's see here. Are we close to filling? We are right now at 9 of 12. So if you guys want to hop in, there is still 3 spots left. This should be a fun one. I'm hoping to not get the 106 through the 108, so the 6th through 8th pick. We've gotten the 6th through 8th pick in about every single one of these fuckers that we've done. Now that I say that, I'm definitely going to get the 6th pick again, but at the end of the day, I want to try to speak it into existence and try to avoid that. Hope everyone's having a good morning. I was wondering how many people would watch if I started streaming this early. I feared it wouldn't be as fruitful as when I stream at like 1 or 2 o'clock, but I also thought maybe we could hit a different audience of people. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But just figured we could do an early morning draft. Might be some different people in the draft as well, because I found on here that I'm drafting with a lot of the same people. Now, it's not every time that it's just me and the same like 11 other people, right? But it is me and some people that I notice every single time. So, very interesting. Hope you guys are having a pretty solid morning, though. It is almost 9 a.m. Pretty early. I don't normally wake up until like 9:30, 9:45. Normally we record our videos at like 10, so I'm able to sleep in a little bit. But normally I do work into the night. We do typically, or I typically just record those mock drafts that are going up on the Fantasy Football channel. Those things are recorded the night before because I don't want to record it during the day because so much news happens during the day in the NFL. Nowadays, it's absolutely fucking insane. Like you could record, if I recorded tomorrow's mock draft right now, there would be like 3 news blurbs that people would be like, "Why didn't you talk about that?" And I think it's important to talk about those things, so that's why I kinda do it that way. There hasn't really been that much super relevant NFL news, it's just that there's a lot of things coming out now. There are reports that Brian Robinson can actually play this year, that Brian Robinson could potentially start in, by, like, week 5, 6. Now, again, nothing is set in stone, but that is very interesting to see that Brian Robinson could potentially play, and I think that will affect his ADP. Now, at the end of the day, if you're in your redraft league, there's no fucking reason to draft Brian Robinson, right? No one's going to draft him. You can just pick him up whenever he comes back. But on drafters, on these best ball sites, maybe is someone you want to draft. Now, I'm probably still not going to draft him, but that is some interesting news. More drafters need some DK best ball content. Yeah, we're trying to keep drafting on here because there's so much overlay, and at the end of the day, that makes it the easiest to potentially win. That's why we do this. Alrighty, I think we need just two more people left. Yep. Oh, one more person left, and then we'll start up this draft. Oh, and we are in. It was that quick. Let's do it. Alrighty. So we have Justin McMahon. I follow that man on Twitter. I think I've drafted with Topsy Turvy before as well. And we have Alex, which is pretty funny. I almost skipped over the boss man, Alex. That would have been pretty funny if I just didn't mention him. I probably should have done that, honestly. Just read everyone's name and just didn't acknowledge him. I think that would have been pretty funny. But obviously, I didn't think too far ahead. You hate to see that. Okay, so at the 107, didn't I just say I didn't want the 106 through the 108, and we got exactly the 107 right in the middle? You hate to see that. So at the 107 here, if I'm being honest with you, in a redraft league, it's almost destined in a lot of redraft leagues that you can get Justin Jefferson or Cooper Cup or Jamar Chase at the 107. In these best ball drafts, people are firing at the wide receiver position at such an aggressive rate that it might be honestly unlikely I even get a wide receiver, if I'm being honest with you. I get one of those top three guys because for me, there's a pretty clear top three. It's Cooper Cup, Jefferson, Jamar Chase. If I'm being honest with you, I kind of have almost talked myself into liking Devontae Adams over Jamar Chase, but everyone else seems to be on a clear wavelength of its Cup, Jefferson, Chase. And then in some order, there's the other guys, right? There's Diggs, there's Adams, there's Lamb, there's Samuel. There's a lot of talk about Debo Samuel. He seems to be probably the most interesting player going inside of these top 2 rounds drafts right now because it seems like there's people that are really in on Debo. They're thinking Debo is going to be seeing pretty similar production to last year, right? He's going to be getting a lot of rushing opportunities. He's going to be catching balls, obviously, because he's a fucking wide receiver. And this 49ers offense isn't really going to miss a beat. Maybe they're even going to potentially be better with Trey Lance under center, which I think is going to be the case. But then there's also people that think, oh, going from or Jimmy G to Trey Lance, maybe that's negative for Debo. Maybe since Debo doesn't want to run the ball as much, maybe Shanahan listens to him and they don't hand the ball off as much to him. And maybe since he was so crazy productive, scoring all those touchdowns, that maybe he is going to fall off. Now, if I'm being honest with you, I'm still closer to the standpoint that really thinks that Debo Samuel is just so fucking good that he's bound to get the ball and he's bound to do great things. So in my standpoint, I'm fine drafting him in the second round, and I think he has a decent amount of upside as well. But I get why some people are worried because whenever any team changes the quarterback and you go from a guy that the team's had for a while, Jimmy G, to Trey Lance, who kind of has this unknown factor, I get why some people are a little nervous. So the 101 is Saquon Barkley. That is absolutely insane in the membrane. I like Saquon Barkley. I'm honestly excited to draft him in the second round, but in the first round, I feel like that's just a reach. Now, the thing is with him, right? This person, or could be a woman, at the 101 here, they're not getting Saquon Barkley in the second round. So I guess if you're super high on Saquon Barkley, take him 101. But I'm not doing that. That's just insane. You're drafting tonight. Good luck, my man. Good luck. I'm very excited for all my redraft drafts. So Saquon, JT. Oh, I didn't mean to click on him. Saquon, JT, CMC, Cooper Cup, Justin Jefferson. Will I get Jamar Chase? If not, I actually want Austin Eckler. So it's perfectly fine, man. There we go, Austin Eckler. So now that's 2 drafts in a row that I have done on live stream where we have drafted Austin Eckler inside of the first 6, 7 picks. I like Austin Eckler a ton this year. I honestly think he's a dark horse #1 running back in fantasy now. How much of a dark horse could a guy be if he's the #3 running back coming off the board in most drafts? I guess technically not. But it seems like everyone is on this Jonathan Taylor versus Christian McCaffrey train, where I think you can almost include Austin Eckler in that situation. This offense is going to be unreal in LA with the Chargers. Justin Herbert, the pervert, is just such a good quarterback. The offensive line is so good. Austin Eckler is going to be given a lot of opportunity. I understand they drafted a running back. They bring in Sony Michelle, but to me, those guys are just insurance policies to Austin Eckler. If Austin Eckler goes down, then yeah, maybe those guys have a little bit of value, or maybe they have a crazy amount of value because one of those running backs ends up being the answer. And they don't just go with a committee, they go with one of them. And that would be great, right? But at the end of the day, if you have Austin Eckler, I believe that Austin Eckler is the clear #1 guy. And I think this Chargers offense wants to heavily utilize him. Austin Eckler has the upside to score like 3 touchdowns in any given game with how much he gets the ball both handed to him as well as dumped off. So I like Austin Eckler a ton this year. and I've been banging the drum all offseason. But again, it's not like that's a super hot take, right? Everyone likes Austin Eckler. After Eckler, we see Diggs, Kelsey, Adams. The most interesting thing about best ball compared to redraft right now is Kelsey. In every single best ball draft, it is basically a mortal lock of the century that Kelsey gets selected in the top 12 picks every single time, like clockwork. But then in these redraft leagues I'm doing, Kelsey falls to like pick 16, 17, 18. And I can't put my finger on why. Is it because people think that Kelsey's going to fall off because Mahomes is going to fall off? That this offense is going to be worse or something? Even if this offense is worse without Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey is going to see so many fucking targets in this offense that there's no reason why people think these things. Just crazy to me. So after we go with Eckler again, Kelsey, Adams, Cook, Henry, Mixon, Harris, Swift, Samuel. We started with the running back. Looking at the best players available here, we're probably going either Alvin Kamara or CeeDee Lamb. If I'm being honest with you, I like Aaron Jones as well. So those would be my top three considerations. It really just depends who topsy turvy picks here. CeeDee Lamb. So we've kind of been pigeonholed here into a running back. I like Tyreek Hill a ton. But if I'm being honest with you, I like Tyreek Hill at the back of the second, not at the middle part of the second round. Looking at receivers besides him, I like Mike Evans a ton, but I don't really think any of these guys are worthy of the pick at my spot. So here, we're going to go with Alvin Kamara. I know there is some worries about the fact that Alvin Kamara could end up getting suspended if the video ends up coming out. And I do agree with that, right? If the video comes out of Alvin Kamara and what he did in the club, then there is definitely a chance that he ends up getting suspended. But when you're trying to win $250,000, you can't be drafting with the standpoint of, oh, I need to be super safe here. So I get if you're doing just maybe one draft, maybe you want to be super safe. But I plan on doing 10, 15, potentially 20 of these things. So I'm not going to double wrap a condom around my roster. Okay. I'm going to try to go with as much upside as possible. And I think Alvin Kamara has that crazy upside to potentially win me this whole thing. Because in my opinion, Alvin Kamara could be a first round pick, right? You could make the argument that if this guy plays all 17 games, Jameis Winston likes to dump the ball off. The Saints offense might be sneaky underrated, and Michael Thomas might just be dust. So maybe Alvin Kamara just sees a crazy amount of targets. I think that's definitely in the range of outcomes this year. So I like not Eckler. I do like Eckler, but I do like Kamara in the second round, and I'd even consider him here at the turn here. So after Kamara, we see Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Maki Mock Andrews, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy, Tyreek Hill. This player right here, they're going for broke here. Sutton, Judy. Now, I honestly agree that Sutton could be a third round pick, but Judy to me definitely lags behind with Cortland Sutton. Now, would I be surprised at the end of the season if you tell me, Nick, Judy outscores Sutton? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But if I'm drafting, when I'm placing these metaphorical bets on these players in these best ball drafts where I draft them, I'm drafting Sutton over Judy every time. So the running backs here are not so hot. I like James Conner, but here we're going to go with wide receiver. Normally, I'd go with Higgins in this spot. So this time, we're going to go with DJ Moore, wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers. I love DJ Moore this year. For years, DJ Moore has been this electric player, one of the more skilled receivers, in my opinion, in the NFL. The issue with DJ Moore is this guy can't score. I'm pretty sure, I wish I could pull it up. He has scored, I'm pretty sure, 4 touchdowns every single year. That is bound to change with Baker Mayfield. He has played with these quarterbacks that are basically dust the last couple of years, and now he gets a quarterback again. I don't think Baker Mayfield is the second coming of Tom Brady or something like, or Aaron Rodgers, like he's one of the best QBs of the NFL. But I do think that DJ Moore has a very good chance to succeed here because of Baker Mayfield. And I'm going to sneeze because my voice sounds all days late. It's like I didn't have to sneeze. I just had to suck in. Call me Mia Malkova. Man, you're going early today. I missed this one. I got Eckler and Kamara to start too on one of these draft. I like that start. Thank you, Brennan. And yeah, I started up a little bit early today. Normally, I will do these streams around 1 or 2, but I'm a little bit more busy today, trying to get some free time on a Friday. I got a lot of my redraft leagues this weekend. I'm pretty pumped to do some more of these drafts. If I have time tomorrow, I may go live as well. I should have muted myself because you probably heard me suck down that water, but it's okay. It is what it is. So Josh Allen here inside of the third round. Where my philosophy changes in redraft compared to best ball is when it comes to quarterbacks. If I'm in the third round, I take Diggs. I'm fine taking Josh Allen because I know he's not going to swing back to me. But in a redraft league, I think you're absolutely insane in the head if you draft Josh Allen in the third round, if I'm being honest with you. I think that is far from an optimal strategy. I don't have really any Zeke on drafters, and I feel like Zeke might be one of those players that crushes people. Like Zeke might be the number one, not the number one running back, but like a top 10 running back and crush people, or he might be like running back 30. So he's pretty interesting here. We're just going to go with best player available yet again here. We're just going to go with this time we'll go Terry McLaurin. Normally we do end up going with Allen Robinson. I actually prefer Allen Robinson over him, but I think Terry McLaurin is just such a talented player that I want to get him on some of my teams. I think that Terry McLaurin is kind of one of those guys that's also just been bent over a table by his quarterbacks. Him and Terry McLaurin are or him and DJ Moore are very similar. For years, they've had to play with these garbage can quarterbacks, and maybe this year they get over the hump. Now, I don't think that Carson Wentz is very good at all, but is it entirely possible that Carson Wentz is a large step up compared to Taylor Heineke? Maybe. Maybe. I was watching a podcast with Terry McLaurin as the host. I believe Part of My Take was the one I was watching that he was on. And it was crazy. He tried to list off the amount of quarterbacks that have thrown a touchdown to him in the NFL. It's like six or seven, maybe eight. It's more time. He has more quarterbacks that have thrown the ball over the last 3 years than the amount of names that the Washington football team or Commanders have had. So that's pretty funny, right? Funny joke right there. Definitely. So after Terry McLaurin, Ezekiel Elliott, Hollywood Brown, Allen Robinson, and Lamar Jackson, getting that nice Mark Andrews to Lamar Jackson stack. Alex has a pretty solid team here. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, and Hollywood Brown. I am starting to kind of turn my brain on to Hollywood Brown. Now, I've always thought he was a good player, but I do kind of worry about the potential that when DeAndre Hopkins returns week 7, that DeAndre Hopkins is going to come back and be this alpha wide receiver that we've seen of him in the past. But there's also a narrative that I've started to think of. You can tell the narrative to yourself when you draft Hollywood Brown that DeAndre Hopkins is coming off of PEDs. Why was he on PEDs? Is it because he hasn't been able to return from injuries? Is it because he's lost a step? Maybe. And maybe DeAndre Hopkins returns and he's not that alpha wide receiver. He's not that wide receiver that we've known of him in the past, that we knew of him in the Houston Texans, that we knew for that first year in Arizona. Maybe he's not that guy anymore. My perspective is that DeAndre Hopkins is still that guy. But that shouldn't discredit me from drafting Hollywood Brown, who has crazy high upside even with DeAndre Hopkins back. Rondale Moore is a receiver on the Arizona Cardinals. He's a player, but I don't think he's very good. So we shall see. So after McLaurin here, we're probably just going to go ahead and do a bit of stacking here. And we are going to go ahead, or just go with some game stacking, I should say, and go with Chris Godwin because Godwin will face off up against DJ Moore in week 17. I don't think week 17 correlation is necessarily key in this, but if there's ever a time to make that crazy final push in week 17, it would be with some crazy game stack like Carolina versus Tampa Bay. That game goes absolutely insane. The Panthers are fighting back with the Bucks. The Bucks are scoring a bunch of points. DJ Moore, as the most notable receiver on the team, goes crazy. Maybe that's a story that you can tell. And I think that is possible. When we get to week 17 for DFS, maybe that is one of the better games because Baker looks really good. Leonard Fournette's still the workhorse there. They have Evans, they have Julio, they have Godwin, they have Russell Gage. They have a lot of interesting players. Maybe that's the story you want to tell in week 17. So I'm fine with that. And again, I don't think you need to overdo things. Like, I'm not going to sit here and draft 7 receivers from the Carolina Panthers because, say, I want to go Tom Brady here. Not going to do that. But I do think one run back in that game is perfectly fine, especially with the receiver like Godwin, who I really like, and with DJ Moore, who I really like. Now, Godwin is still going in the 5th, 6th round because people are still worried about him. And I get being worried. I get being slightly nervous. But like, again, you don't win your league playing scared, right? If Godwin returns, he's going to be a beast. Damian Pierce at the round 5 turn here, pick 49. Interesting. Damian Pierce is a guy whose range of draft position in redraft leagues is insane. Because there's people like me who will take him in the 5th, 6th round. And then there's your casual fan who they don't even think about taking Damian Pierce until he appears on their draft screen in round 9. So that's interesting. In best ball, it's seeming like he's like a sixth, seventh round pick at this point. The fifth might be a little early. Tyron, just barely hopping back into fantasy news this week. Any thoughts on Michael Thomas? Yeah, so when it comes to Michael Thomas, he's definitely a huge risk. Michael Thomas is one of those players that if you want to be safe, you just don't draft him. I like Michael Thomas, but I don't have too much of him because it is definitely a huge risk when it comes to Michael Thomas. Huge risk. I would rather just wait until later and draft Chris Olave. Running backs are looking not so hot here. Tight ends, Dalton Schultz. Brady's still pretty far away, so we're just going to go receiver. Best receiver available here. I'm going to get my boy Adam Thielen of the Vikings. I've liked Adam Thielen basically all offseason. He was going in drafts 2 months ago, around 11, 10. People have spiked him up here. He's really good. Adam Thielen last year scored the same amount of touchdowns as Justin Jefferson in less games. Adam Thielen is clearly a crucial part in this offense. New head coach of the Minnesota Vikings wants to throw the ball more three receiver sets, more passing the football. And when you throw the ball more, the receivers benefit. Crazy. Crazy how that works. If you throw the ball, the receivers are going to benefit. Adam Thielen is the clear number two there. They have KJ Osborne. They have Irv Smith. But I think Adam Thielen is going to see a decent amount of targets in this offense. I understand Justin Jefferson's the clear alpha guy, right? Justin Jefferson hits the cool gritty when he scores a touchdown. But Adam Thielen is still a very valuable player in this offense. And I think he's a sneaky guy that could finish inside the top 12. I like Christian Kirk. I was basically off of Christian Kirk for a while. And then after seeing that preseason game where Trevor Lawrence was just feeding Kirk the ball. It was like he wasn't even thinking, just dropping back. There you go, Kirk. So maybe the fact that they gave Kirk all the money, maybe we should chase the money. Chase the fact that Kirk Cousins, or not Kirk Cousins, that Trevor Lawrence just wants to feed the ball to Kirk because Kirk got all that money. That is entirely possible. I like Christian Kirk a decent amount. He's also going to be running a lot of routes out of the slot. After Kirk, Kyler to the boss man, AJ Dillon, Elijah Mitchell, Chase Edmonds, Trey Lance, Ramondre Stevenson, Dalton Schultz, Brandon Ayuk, J.K. Dobbins. What's up, Kevin? How you doing? What's up, guys? It's Nick the Notorious Fantasy, Justin Herbert the Pervert. Exactly. That's probably my best nickname at this point. It's got to be Justin Herbert the Pervert. He is the guy that I get the most comments about besides 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. People also love 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. Oh, fuck, man. I want Brady. I don't think he's going to come back to me. I don't think he's going to come back to me. In a vacuum, I prefer Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow over Tom Brady, but we committed to drafting Godwin, so I want to stack. What about Hunter Renfro? I like Hunter Renfro decent amounts. Hunter Renfro is a pretty safe play. Now, it's going to be weird because there's entirely possible that there's a situation where there's too many mouths to feed in Las Vegas, right? Because they have Adams, they have Renfro, and they have Waller. It's entirely possible that one of those guys ends up being a momentous bust. Devontae Adams is a bust after they traded all those picks and they gave him all that money. I would be shocked. I like Adams. I like Renfro as well, and I like Waller, but I'm just telling you that there's a chance that one of them busts. Hunter Renfro is just an amazing player. He runs crazy routes. He breaks DB's ankles all the time. This team is in a division that is going to be scoring a lot of points. Every single one of those matchups are going to be a certified fucking shootout. The games are going to have crazy point totals. They'll probably be one of the highest point totals every week they play on the sports books. So I like Hunter Renfro a decent amount. But to me, I don't know if he has the same upside he had last year. So it's fine that you're getting him in the seventh round because you're not necessarily assuming he's going to be a top 12 player. So that's why I like him. But I'm just not too sure the upside is there that he had last year because now Devontae Adams is in town. We could also talk about how now that Devontae Adams is there, there's worse coverage for Renfro, and that could be positive for him. What are your thoughts about the trade of CeeDee Lamb and Ezekiel Elliott versus Swift and Deontay Johnson? Personally, I would rather have Swift and Deontay Johnson. I think that Deontay Johnson is one of the more or not overrated, one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL in terms of fantasy football. Hawkinson, Knox, Ertz. See, I like these running backs. In the eighth round, man, seems a little early. Seems a little early. So we're gonna go receiver here. Decent amount of by 14 players. We'll go again. We'll double dip into this Saints offense here. Go Olave. I I like Olave a decent amount. Again, we kind of talked about that with Michael Thomas. I think that Chris Olave could be a huge benefactor in this offense. But back to your question here, I would prefer Swift and Deontay. Swift to me is pretty clearly a first or second round pick. I'd take him in the first round. He goes in the second round of some drafts. Um, Deontay Johnson's very underrated. I understand that the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh is far from ideal, right? Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, obviously not the most sexy names, but I still like all of those quarterbacks. So I think Deontay Johnson could still be quite successful in those situations. So I would rather go with Swift and Johnson. And great question. I don't think so because Canada does not like best ball apparently or DFS. But I think the laws are changing. I don't know. Again, I'm not a fucking DFS. I don't even know what word I'm trying to use here. I'm not some type of analyst on understanding why things are legal, why things aren't legal. I guess a lawyer. I don't know. It's too early in the morning for me to think too deeply on a bunch of different words. Now I just sound like a dumbass over here. But I don't think it's legal in Canada. You can check though. What wide receiver two do you like better, T. Higgins or Mike Will? Made it. I would prefer T. Higgins, definitely. I think T. Higgins is in a better spot. Mike Williams is very volatile. Mike Williams is going to have games where he hangs 32 points. There's going to be games where he scores 4 points. Oh, Canada does. I don't think Ontario does. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, it's just Ontario that doesn't like DFS or best ball. I stand corrected. All my friends that live in Canada live in Ontario, and they can't play. The Raiders' offensive line might be bottom three, though. Dude, imagine that the fact that the Raiders have drafted so bad the last couple of years, it's honestly shocking how that's even possible. Like, when you look back at that draft class, like Alexander or Alex Leatherwood, cuts, all those guys they drafted are either bums or gone. And I think I retweeted the list on Twitter like a month ago of all the guys that they had on that team. And it's almost insane that you can draft that bad. Like, Stevie Wonder could have been the guy making all the selections. He can't even see, and he might have made some better selections than that. Running backs here, I don't like Damian Harris, but if I'm being honest with you, the pendulum has swung so heavily towards Ramondre Stevenson that I think it's potential that Damian Harris just is the number one running back on this team. He can't catch passes. The guy has stone hands, but he's still viable in this Patriots offense. We saw it last year. So I'm not completely out on Damian Harris. Now, again, am I going to reach for him in the sixth, seventh round where he's getting taken in redraft leagues? No. When am I fine taking him? Yeah, I'm fine taking him in the ninth. Melvin Gordon's pretty interesting as well because if Melvin Gordon or if Javonte Williams really isn't the guy like people think, Melvin Gordon might be like the best ninth round pick ever. Because if they're on the goal line, what if they just swap Javonte Williams out and they play Melvin Gordon? What if this is a 60-40 split in favor of Williams and then Gordon eats? So I like Gordon a ton, if I'm being honest with you. Alex's team is really good. Really, really good. I like Hawkinson a lot now that he's been falling. It used to be that Hawkinson was pretty clearly the number six tight end after all the big five guys go, and Schultz. So he'd be number seven, actually. My bad. But now we're seeing guys take Goddard, Knox ahead of him. So I think that you're getting pretty solid value on Hawk right now. You think Madison is going to get moved? No, I don't. Now, if you're doing these best ball drafts, if you draft Madison right now, you might get the craziest value ever because he's a guy going in the 10th. Say he gets traded or the 11th round. Say he gets traded today. His ADP this weekend, he goes to a team where he's going to be the starter. His ADP goes from the 10th round to like the 4th round because Alexander Madison is such a skilled player. So when you take him, you can do that and just be like, oh, you know what? I'm getting this crazy discount. Maybe he gets moved. My best guess is he doesn't get moved this offseason. And if they do move him, it's going to be at the trade deadline, which is still valuable for fantasy football, of course, but not anything crazy. So I'm not really forcing myself into drafting him, and I don't really believe he will get traded right now. Let's see here. Could go Kirk. You like that? Gonna go receiver. Let's go Tolbert here. Let's go Tolbert. I have a lot of Tolbert. Tolbert, his ADP in redraft compared to best ball is hilarious. In redraft, he's literally will go undrafted in a lot of leagues or be like the last pick people make. In best ball, he's like a 10th round pick. Now, if Michael Gallup returns super early, if he's ready to go week 2, then maybe this pick is going to look stupid. But there's also a chance that Gallup misses some serious time, isn't healthy, and comes back maybe a little too early. He isn't ready. He plays like shit. And Tolbert is just that good that Tolbert elevates past him in the depth chart, and he's the number 2 target on his team, or maybe the number 3 target because Dalton Schultz should be heavily utilized in this offense based upon what we saw last year and the fact that now that Amari Cooper is gone, I think they're just going to have to use a lot of Dalton Schultz. That's just kind of how I see things. All right. You need a second quarterback. Don't really have too much positive correlation here besides with Jameis. So I think I want to go with Jameis. Um, yeah, probably Jameis. Jameis is really interesting because Jameis is one of those guys that has just the upside every week to just be amazing, and he also has the upside to just or the downside of the fact that he's Jameis Winston. And he's not very good in some games, but he looked a lot better to me last year. He looked a little bit more consistent last year, so I like Jameis. And on drafters, unlike these other websites where it's 18 round drafts, on here I feel like you almost have to draft 3 quarterbacks. And if you don't draft 3 quarterbacks, I think you have to draft 2 quarterbacks. That's just how I see things. Or if you don't draft 3 quarterbacks, I think you have to draft 3 tight ends. Is what I meant. Let's see here, running backs are starting to get real bad here. I want to go tight end. We're gonna get my guy Cole Kmet. That's gonna be the pick here. The reason why I like Kmet is because I think that besides Darnell Mooney, he's pretty clearly the number 2 target on this team. They don't really have a lot of options to throw the ball to because their other receivers are Velas Jones, who started playing in the NFL when fucking dinosaurs were roaming the earth, right? So they also have Equimedius St. Brown. I think that's Amon-Ra St. Brown's brother or cousin. I don't remember. Fucking sue me for not knowing any facts about some guy that doesn't even get drafted in fantasy football drafts. Equimedius St. Brown. But they don't really have a lot of options. So Cole Kmet should be heavily utilized in the Chicago Bears offense. And I think we should be drafting him as if he's like the number 2 receiver on the team. So I hope we can get Jameis. I'm definitely going to reach on him in the 12th round. I don't think it's much of a reach, if I'm being honest with you, because I think he's a guy that's talented enough to heavily destroy his ADP, one of my favorite late round quarterback targets. And if we are going to draft 3, I'm probably looking at Baker late or Ryan Tannehill. Those are kind of my favorite guys. There's people talking up Malik Willis, but if I'm being honest with you, does anyone think Malik Willis is actually going to start a single game this year? Because if I was to bet, I would say no way. Tannehill would have to legitimately be so bad to where they have to bring in Malik Willis. Like, what scenario is Tannehill that bad? Like when they can just hand the ball to Derrick Henry and they have Treylon Burks, who, while he isn't like the sexiest name right now, could be this excellent rookie receiver. They have Robert Woods. Like, in what scenario does Tannehill play so bad that he gets benched? Like, the only way in my head he gets benched is if he gets hurt, if he gets laid out and they can't play him. That's the only way in my head that Malik Willis starts a game this year. Now, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe Malik Willis is just so good. We saw in preseason, he looked good. I'd agree. If he was the starter on this team, I would probably draft him in fantasy because the amount of rushing upside that he has and how important rushing upside is in fantasy football. I know. I drafted Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a statue in the pocket. Tom Brady has zero rushing upside, but Tom Brady makes up with it by the fact that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is going to throw the ball roughly 7 million times. So that's how they make up for it. A guy like Malik Willis could be an awful passer in the NFL, which I don't think he is. I'm just saying he could be, and he could still be just very good in fantasy because of his legs. Same argument with Trey Lance. Trey Lance, who I think is a good passer, could be awful this year. Passing the football, just run the ball so much. that he plays well. That is entirely in the realm of outcomes. So we need another running back. The running backs aren't getting selected right now because we're kind of in this shitty zone of running backs. So I think I kind of lucked out and I will be able to get a running back that I like. Is Trey Lance worth drafting, or do you think Jimmy G String is going to end up coming back as the QB1? I don't think that. I think the reason why they brought Jimmy Garoppolo back is because the team didn't want to lose Jimmy Garoppolo to another team. So, say Seattle, they bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand Seattle's offense. The whole team doesn't, or they do have some good weapons, right? But as a whole, that team isn't fit to compete. But could Pete Carroll muster up a solid team with Jimmy Garoppolo under center and maybe screw the 49ers over? Maybe. Is there a scenario where Jimmy Garoppolo goes to some other team, wins them games, screws over the 49ers? Yes. So I think that is exactly why they decided to keep him opposed to getting rid of him. Now, I understand they have to pay a decent amount of money, but they do that to protect themselves. They don't do that because they think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start over Trey Lance. They do it to protect their own ass. That's how I see things. Again, it's kind of like Tannehill. I would be shocked. Like, how bad is Lance going to have to play for Jimmy G to come in the game? I don't think Lance has this short reach. I think he has a reach this or a leash the size of the fucking football field. They're not going to pull Lance unless Lance is legitimately awful. Like, to me, that's how I see things. He would have to be atrocious. He would have to be putting the 49ers in these terrible spots because Jimmy Garoppolo himself, who isn't very good, was able to win games with the 49ers. So Lance, who by all accounts, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Garoppolo, he's going to be able to win games. So I'm not really too worried at all about Jimmy Garoppolo when it comes to Trey Lance. It's not even a thought that enters my mind personally when I'm drafting. That's just kind of how I think. Wandale Robinson. All right, so we went with Algier there. I don't love Algier, but these running backs in this range, I think it's fine to just take a rookie that has a decent amount of upside. Like, Algier might just be locked up behind Cordell Patterson, but there's also a scenario where Patterson's just playing receiver because they don't really have any besides London and Pitts. And then Algier's the number one back. And you can still play Cordell Patterson at running back, which is funny, but he'll probably be more of a receiver this year potentially. So I like Algier. He looked good in preseason as well. Need some more running backs though. Our receivers are solid. DJ Moore, McLaurin, Godwin, Thielen, Olave, Tolbert. So need our tight end as well, but not this early for me. I go to either wide receiver or running back here. Hmm. Let's go Zamir. Let's go Zamir. Now, I was someone who early on in the offseason was a big believer in Josh Jacobs. I thought that the Raiders were just going to, this is a contract year for Josh Jacobs. They're probably going to let go of him at the end of the year. Let's run this man into the dirt. Let's run the ball at a crazy clip, and then let's get out of here. That's what I was thinking. And what ends up happening is that they go to the committee. It seems like they want to get White involved. They want to get Jacobs involved. They wanted to get Drake involved. I guess not because they ended up cutting him. They want to get Abdullah involved. So now there's going to be a scenario that probably sucks for fantasy. So in best ball in the 14th round, why not just draft the guy that goes significantly later? Where did Josh Jacobs go? I hate how this always does this. Pick 80, round 7. So why not just draft a guy 7 rounds later who could be at some point in the season the more valuable running back and could just steal points away from Josh Jacobs? To me, Zamir White is kind of a no-brainer to be drafting later on in the draft. We definitely need another running back here, but I don't think we draft another one right here in this spot. Um, Something I wanted to mention here is that Drafters now has a new thing with our code. If you deposit with code Stochastic, you will receive now a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. So if you deposit $100, you could receive an additional $100 if you deposit $100. That's $200 for $100. That code is very good. So make sure that you use that if you are to. All right, Brendan, I'm going to read your question in a second here. Tight end. The tight ends are going to get bad soon, but Tanyan does the same buy. So I guess we're going to have to wait. I'm going to go receiver here. Let's go Marvin. I know I did just kind of talk about Christian Kirk a little bit earlier. I talked Christian Kirk up, but I still think it's entirely possible that Marvin Jones has a pretty valuable role in this offense. It's pretty clearly out of all those receivers in Jacksonville that he's the number 2 guy. Evan Ingram has fucking stone hands. Evan Ingram, it's shocking that he's bad with how athletic the guy is. Like if he could catch the ball, just get his big ass hands around the football, he'd be good. But he can't catch the football. It's pretty sad. Noticing Alex is going with Kay Waller on Seattle this year. I've seen Alex take him in a lot of drafts, which is worrying me because I've pretty much been fading him. I've been fading him as well. I don't like him. But if Walker's hernia injury doesn't impact him as much as I think it could, and if Penny struggles, then Walker is going to get the ball. The reason why I like Penny so much is because I think Penny is going to get out hot while Walker is dealing with the hernia, stay healthy, and just outpace Walker. They're still going to use Walker, but Penny's going to clearly be the guy. Now, Penny doesn't really catch passes. So that's a big negative against him. And one of the biggest reasons why you might want to talk yourself into Kenneth Walker. But I'm still about the standpoint of liking Penny significantly more than Walker. And I don't even think I've drafted Walker more than twice or 3 times. I think I've done 140 total drafts, 150 total best ball drafts. Now, in this contest, I have done 5. I play on other websites too. I've done a lot. So I don't have a lot of Walker. I don't believe in him. But he could be a guy that screws me because if Penny gets hurt like he always does, then Walker's going to be stepping into a really good scenario. Because even though the Seattle Seahawks, on paper, in real life, they're probably going to suck complete and utter ass. Even if that is the case, you can still be a great running back in fantasy on an awful team. So let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. I don't love the running backs that I have, but we're just going to hope Eckler and Kamara put the team on our back here. He can carry us to the promised land. We're probably going to have to go tight end here. Isaiah Likely is getting some huge bump up by a lot of people. I'm not that big of an Isaiah Likely guy. I like Hurst. I still really like Hayden Hurst. Now, maybe some people just think he's a bad tight end, but getting pieces of these elite offenses is important. And getting a piece of an elite offense in the 16th round, a team that used CJ Uzama at points last year, and Uzama had some big splash games. Now, again, this isn't a redraft league. I don't have to worry about when to start him. He's just going to fly into my lineup when he has a good game. So I'm fine doing that. Baker's already gone, so we're probably not going to go with the 3 quarterback build. We're just going to go probably 3 tight ends in this build. Again, I think on drafters, you should be doing either 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends. I'm pretty comfortable with Brady and Jameis. Some people may be a little more nervous with Jameis. They might want to draft another quarterback. But again, do I really want the MILF Hunter or Marcus Mariota or Carson Wentz? Not really. And by not really, I mean, fuck no, I don't want them. There is a scenario where Pickett or Trubisky are legitimate league winners for this kind of a tournament, like legitimately guys that carry your team at a point in the season because I think the Steelers offense will be good. So that's something I've thought of a lot, but I don't know. When I have Brady and Winston, like I'm just gonna keep going with this. Like I understand some people think Brady is just eventually gonna fall off, and it's going to happen, right? One year Brady's gonna trot out there and he's not gonna be the same, but I think he would have retired if he would have stayed retired if he didn't think he still has some juice left in the tank, right? That's kind of just my view on things. All right. So we're gonna go receiver here. Well, I like Logan Thomas. That's a pretty solid pick. Alex goes with the boy Mo Money, Mo Cox, Mo Alley Cox. Um, dude, Jamison Crowder is getting so disrespected, but he really isn't gonna be that vital in this offense. I'm gonna go with Van Jefferson. I don't really have any Van Jefferson. I understand that he's banged up and might not even play week 1, but if they don't bring in Odell or anyone else, like Jefferson's gonna have a role in this offense. I don't think it's gonna be a very big role, but in the 17th round, if he just has like 1 or 2 usable games, that's just amazing for where we got him. And he's on an elite offense. Again, we're targeting elite offenses. The MILF Hunter, she bad though. Yeah, Zach Wilson is the MILF Slayer. What's funny is near where I live, Sauce Gardner, corner out of Cincinnati for the Jets, was he has a new sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings. No free ads, but he was at the Buffalo Wild Wings by my house yesterday signing shit, and I wanted to go there wearing a Dolphins jersey, but I also don't want to be like a dick to some guy that I don't know, right? I don't want to be some douchebag, talking shit to some guy, right? In reality, while I hate the Jets when they're playing football, I don't want to, you know, I'm just not like that, right? I'm not gonna try to talk shit to Sauce Gardner. But it was funny because all my friends got pictures with a couple of my friends got pictures with Tyreek Hill's son, Sauce Gardner, because Tyreek Hill is going to absolutely fucking torch that guy come when we play them. Very interesting. But yeah, I'm not someone who's gonna just go scream at some guy. Like if I saw Zach Wilson in person, I definitely would want to take a picture with him, even though I don't think he's a very good quarterback, because he's just funny. Do you think OBJ plays this season? I think 100%. I think my best estimate of when OBG pl- OB OBGYN plays, OBJ plays is Thanksgiving. I think around Thanksgiving is when he comes back. I think anything before Thanksgiving, if you think he's going to come back by then, is ambitious. So I don't think you're going to get some crazy, amazing, usable weeks out of Odell until then. But I think if Odell signs with the right team, Odell could have 2, 3 boom games that receivers that play all year, like for instance, Jefferson, he might play all year for the Rams. And Odell, who might play 5 games, might have more usable weeks in your fantasy football lineup than Odell. In redraft, there's no reason to draft Odell, but in best ball, I like Odell. Will Fuller, I'm just not drafting Will Fuller. I legitimately think Will Fuller is an awful pick. Like, Will Fuller might just not want to play football. If I'm being honest with you, I think that has to be the case. Like, why is he not on a team? Oh, he's waiting until after preseason. Preseason's been over for a week, basically. He's not on a team. The season starts in 6 fucking days and he's not on a team. Why is that? Why is that? I want to go with Drake here. Drake could be the number one back on Baltimore because early on the season, because J.K. Dobbins is limping. J.K. Dobbins on Twitter is telling people he's not limping. If he's not limping, then I don't know what he's doing. Is he just fucking, is it like cosplay? Is he just fucking around with us? Like, what is that then? Because he looks like he's limping. So I don't know. I do not know. If he misses time, though, Drake could be very viable because Gus Bus is going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. I have a lot of Gus Bus, so I'm disappointed in that. I was drafting him all offseason thinking he'd be fine, healthy, good to go week 1. He's not going to be, but that's okay. There's a reason why I do so many of these drafts because we can pivot off of Gus Edwards. Jordan Mason, excellent pick here. This team here is picking great, but very interesting way of drafting. They're block drafting. Do you think DeGoat Tyson will come back from at the end of the year and going forward? Dude, am I dumb for not knowing who the fuck DeGoat Tyson is? Are you talking about Tyson Williams, goat running back of the Baltimore Ravens? We're talking about Taysom Tugson. Oh, you said Tugson. Fuck, I can't even think of who that is. I feel like a dumbass right now. My brain is also not firing at maximum capacity at 9:43 in the morning. Should have snorted a line prior to the stream or something. All right, hold the phone here. Kevin, let me know who that is, and let me make a selection here. Let's get a share of Conklin here. Let's get Conklin. I know he has the same bye week as uh Komet, but I wanted to go 3. Oh, fuck, man. That was kind of obvious. I wanted to get a share of one of these Jets tight ends. The Jets have 2 decent tight ends, in Uzama and Conklin, and I think one of them is going to have some valuable points in the season. Now, maybe it's not early on with Joe fucking Flacco, who absolutely sucks ass at playing football, but it might be later on in the season when the MILF Hunter returns. Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson actually does have value when he comes back, and I don't think in this kind of a format he's very useful, right? Because you know he's missing those 11 games. Or he comes back, what, week 13. So he missed the first 12 weeks of the season because they have a bye. So, like, when is he going to be super valuable for your team? Now, on the other sites, like Underdog, He's going to potentially have those big games when you need it at the end of the season to win through the playoffs. But on drafters, you need to be hitting every game. You need to be on point every single game. So drafting injured players is a bigger risk on this kind of a site because you need those points every week. You can't just scrape by into the playoffs and then boom, Watson's back. Watson goes fucking crazy. It's going to be hard to do that on this kind of a website. In redraft, if you can put suspended players on your IR, I actually think it's worth it to draft Watson because you can just put him on your IR, forget about him, and then whenever he comes back, you just remove him off the IR, you cut someone, you watch him play his first game against Houston, or maybe you just play him because he's playing the Houston Texans. Now, my camera's out of focus, so I'm going to fix that really quick. But I do think Watson has some value. Just not as much on this site again, because if you do draft him, then you have to draft three quarterbacks, right? You just have to on this website. All right. Let's see here. Probably just gonna go receiver again. We drafted Drake, not I thought we draft for some reason I thought I took Mike Davis, but we took Drake. I might have said Mike Davis when I took him too, which is actually hilarious. But yeah, we got Drake. Same thing though. Same reason why I like him as Mike Davis. Could go Odell. Um, I don't like Justin Watson. Some people do though. Let's go Braxton. My boy Braxton. Braxton went crazy at the end of last year. I understand he's not that great of a player, but Corey Davis is old as fuck. Like, what if he doesn't really work? What if Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson struggle? Like, I think Braxton has a role in this offense. Again, he's my 20th round pick, so I don't expect Braxton to be a world beater, but I do think that he has some potential. Like last year on here, he was pretty good. Like, just look. 25 points, 15, 10, 11. Like there's weeks where he was really good. Let's go to the game log here. Pull up the whole game log. He had some pretty solid games last year. So I don't know. I kind of like Braxton a decent amount. So our team, to recap here, we had Tampa Bay Tom, famous Jameis Eda W. Winston. Our running backs were Eckler, Kamara, Damian Harris, Tyler Algier, Zamir White, Kenyon Drake. Our wide receivers were DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen, Chris Olave, Jalen Tolbert, Marvin Jones, Van Jefferson, Braxton Berrios, and our tight ends were Cole Kmet, Hayden Hurst, and Tyler Conklin. So I think we had a great draft. Again, we do have a new kind of partnership deal here with drafters. Promo code Stochastic will now get you first match deposit bonus of up to $100 for new users. So if you deposit $100, you will receive an additional $100. So if you guys have any questions right now about best ball, redraft, anything for the next couple of minutes, shoot them off to me. And if I don't see any questions or anything, then I'm just going to get off here. So let me know. And I think we drafted a pretty solid team here. Um, I don't love going three tight ends, but I mean, like I like Hayden Hurst, but at the end of the day, I think we kind of needed Conklin because maybe Komet does, or maybe Hurst doesn't end up working. Got a 14-man draft tonight. Should I prioritize running back and wide receiver and punt quarterback and tight end? That's typically what I do. I think in like 8, 10 team leagues, you need to focus on tight end because everyone's team is going to be fucking stacked, loaded to the gills. Everyone's team is going to be good. You could legitimately be awful at drafting and draft a great 8 or 10 team league. But in a 14-team league, this is where you have to be legitimately pretty solid at fantasy, right? Obviously, you can luck into things, but the smarter drafters typically do better. So, with that said, I don't want to be drafting aggressively towards the tight end position because I don't think that there's a huge advantage of having the early tight end. Because it's not like everyone's team is going to be stacked. Where that advantage at tight end is super important. So, in those kind of leagues, I focus more on running backs early because by the time things turn in the third round, typically the running backs look like absolute dog shit. So I want to be drafting three running backs, or not three running backs, just two running backs off the rip most times, and then just focusing on wide receiver after that. I kind of think that is the best way to build a team in a 14-team league. Now, obviously, there's going to be drafts where all a million running backs go in the first round, you're up to pick, and then Justin Jefferson falls to you. Sure, you can take him. I agree with that. But I'm not someone who wants to reach on things like that either. So I'm big on running backs early. And yes, I do have rankings available. I'm gonna paste them in the chat here and then probably skedaddle if my computer would load. That's the one thing about streaming here is that my computer isn't the best. So it does at points lag when I'm trying to pull something up that should in reality take 2 seconds for me to post, but it didn't. Let's see here. Here they are. Here's the list. I'm probably gonna update these later. They're pretty accurate though. I mean, there's not much that has changed over the last couple of days. So there are my rankings. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave them down below in the comment section of all these videos. Go on over to, if you guys don't watch the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel, I'm going to link that right now. Make sure you're watching on there. I do videos all the time on there. Once the season starts, we're going to be going crazy on there. And once the season starts on here, we're going to be going crazy as well. Have a good day, Nick. Hope your Finns have a good season. Thank you, brother. I hope so too. Link the other channel. There's going to be a lot of videos on here, this channel, and on the other channel as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed to that. Today I posted so far a mock draft, but there's another video by me coming out today as well. Yeah, as well. My tight end flag plans. I have my defense video. If you guys are big into defense streaming for fantasy football, my best defenses to stream for week 1 is out now. I do those videos every week. One of my favorite videos to record. And honestly, I think that's one of the best ways to get an edge in fantasy football redraft is getting the best defenses every single week. It really gives you a huge advantage. So thank you guys for watching. I love all of you guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your guys' day. And I'll see you guys soon with another stream. And if it's not me on the next stream, maybe it's someone else. You never know. So hopefully you guys sign up for drafters as well. Love you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.